Greetings, Toffees. Welcome back to another episode of The Blue Frontier as Everton's winless run at Stamford Bridge extends into its 31st year. The last time the Toffees won at the London ground was November of 1994. I was 2 months old, and today the Toffees fell 2-0 through two first-half goals for the home side. We will get into dissecting the match, as we always do on this show. Before we do that, just a reminder that if you enjoy the show, do us a solid, like the video, subscribe to the channel, or leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. We appreciate that a lot. You can find all of our links to our socials and everything else in the description, and join our Discord. With that, Ryan, we'll go to the summary quote of the day. Your turn to choose. Take us away.
Yep, I went with Peter Appleby at Peter Rabbit 68. We played well enough to get something from the game, but the difference was Chelsea took their chances and we did not. It's as simple as that. It would help if we were a bit quicker on the ball. Hopefully, KDH is okay. And I second that idea. I think we'll talk about it a little bit later when we get into the timeline, but there were 8 big chances in the match. Chelsea had 5, we had 3. It's just a matter of taking your chances a little bit, and that's how it is. Not all chances are the same, but in terms of big chances, and I would say Chelsea's one big chance wasn't massive. So it's called 4-3 because we had some close to chances, and that's it, James. I mean, that to me is, no one's going to deny that Chelsea doesn't have more depth, doesn't have more quality in most areas of the pitch. But even us getting in the numbers and stuff, and we'll talk about it a little bit later in the episode, there was nothing glaring out there that really stood out. I mean, they had the ball a bit more. They could dictate play a little bit more, and there were some game state factors. We'll talk about that as well. But, we had some talking points coming into this one, and the one has been a fairly consistent talking point throughout the season, but I think today was very magnified, maybe because Maresca kind of sat back and let them do their thing, but we could probably use a fullback or two, James.
Yeah, I'm going to say we probably need 2, or play the one that we already have. But today it was on full display just how desperately we need that attacking output from our fullbacks, as neither Jake O'Brien nor Mykolenko had particularly good games advancing into the final third. We have this comment from Andrew Malone at _Bugsy from X, who said, "Match was not as bad as the scoreline suggests, but lack of attacking fullbacks killing us yet again." Numbers for today: Jake O'Brien, 73% passing, 1 for 5 in crosses, 3 for 8 in long balls. And really defensively is not always the concern with either of these guys, and I think O'Brien was decent defensively today, but what Chelsea did was just force us to go down the right side and let Jake O'Brien have the ball and say, okay, how are you going to hurt us if this is what we make you do? And the answer was not very much, because Jake O'Brien lost the ball 21 times, 8 more than any other Everton player. He's not a right back, folks. How many times do we have to say it on this show? He's being put out of position and he's doing the best he can, but you're just going to have the trade-offs there.
I think the balance is probably the bigger issue. You can get away with someone maybe sitting back defending in a different way. You get something for Jake on set pieces. There's some other things too. I wouldn't play him in that way. But if you've got a guy like that, maybe you can morph into a virtual 3. He's probably our best 1v1 defender in space at right back. I know that doesn't sound good. It's not, but it is what it is. I think it's a combination of him and Mykolenko. And with Mykolenko, I mean, he created 2 chances today. One was kind of a laser pass that Garner tried to get rid of early, so I'm not going to give him too much credit. But he was 5 for 7 in ground duels, but in a couple big moments, he got beat. And fundamentally, if you're not going to contribute in the attacking side, you better be really, really good on the defensive side. And although for the most part he was okay, he had a tough matchup with Neto. Neto's very pacey, very quick, and very tricky. I never really thought he was all that great, but watching him at Chelsea, and maybe it's because he gets more of a chance to be isolated now. Wow, what a terrific footballer he really is. But we keep talking about this point, sign fullbacks. I'm going to quote Mike Greenall here. His comment was, "You look at the team, and it is just very obvious how badly the fullbacks stick out. Maybe just one more month till we get some new ones." And, I hate to keep going back to this, but when we looked in the summer, I just think they probably need to do a little better and have at least an option at right back. That being said, I'm still a little surprised that Asanu doesn't get more of a look, especially when we're down. And I don't understand the reluctance there at all. I've said it many times. You're down. You still got Jake O'Brien over at right back. You're really not going to put someone in there that maybe at least can give you some fresh legs and get up the pitch a little bit, who's definitely better on the ball than Mykolenko. And people are calling and saying, how bad must Asnu be? And my response to that is he's not. Like, I know he's all right. But again, I mean, what's the worst case here, James? We get beat 3 or 4-0 rather than 2-0? That's okay.
Yeah. No, I think it is. And I think to Mike's comment, it really does. It sticks out. And it doesn't necessarily stick out on the stat sheet, but it sticks out when you watch us play in the way that we build up. When Grealish has the ball and he's looking to give the ball to someone, you can tell he's kind of hesitant to give the ball to Mykolenko in the final third. And Mykolenko, in the final stages of today, created a couple chances and had a couple decent moves. But Jake O'Brien on the other side as well, if there's not tons of space, attacks just kind of, or a forward progression just kind of dies down that side. He's just not comfortable there, and so more often than not, you get that back pass and kills any forward momentum.
I think also there's a combination factor here, too, where I think we're on borrowed time with the Keane-Tarkowski tandem here. I thought Keane was very poor today. I think Tark made some mistakes, too. I just think you're putting too much on them, especially when you're chasing the game, and now those guys have to push up a little bit more. They're not built to play that way. Tarkowski's a very good box defender. I'll give him credit for that. Keane has been on a decent run of form and does some things well, but I think eventually that dam's going to break. And so I just also want to see Jake O'Brien be developed as a center back as well, too. I think he has some serious talent. And I think, well, let's move to Joe Thomas's comment here, too, because I think injuries plus the African Cup of Nations is going to have a big impact on this team. We'll get into some of the impacts it's going to have on some of the later teams that we're playing, but it's all kind of one big mix at this point now.
Yeah, and we've known that this impact has been coming for months now, and the day is finally here, as this was the last match before AFCON would take place. And we have this comment from Joe Thomas from the Echo, friend of the show, who said, concerns for Everton continue after defeat to Chelsea. Moyes says Dewsbury-Hall's injury needs assessing, but adds Grealish has felt a potential issue too. I think it was his hamstring. Confirms Garner taken off to protect him from a late booking that would have left him suspended for Arsenal. So you have, of course, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall starting this match, pulled within around the first 15 minutes. Didn't seem good. Hopefully nothing too serious. And now you have Idrissa Gueye and Iliman Ndiaye off to AFCON. And you've got Garner now flirting with a one-match suspension when he picks up his next yellow. The lack of depth in the Everton team, particularly in the midfield, is really going to be put to the test over the next month or so.
I think it'll be interesting, too, to see the two guys that are on the grass and see how quickly they can get back. It provides Everton a little more depth, but there's just not great options in those fullback spots. And so if you were to do something like move a Jimmy Garner out to fullback, what does the midfield look like? Because now Ghana as an option is gone. So unless Merlin can get healthy very quickly or Tim Irabunam can suddenly develop a phenomenal amount of positional discipline, I don't see how well it's going to go. I don't know. It's kind of a conundrum. I think Garner's got to stay put at this point. James, I think a lot of people thought that we weren't really going to miss Ghana because he had been out. Some people were asking some questions about Idrissa Gueye's performance this year. There's some indication it might have eroded a bit. I think we saw a couple high moments in recent times, but is there concern here, James?
Yeah, well, first of all, I thought that people who didn't think that Ghana would go straight back into the team after his suspension were kidding themselves a little bit. I think it was
serious?
The right decision from Moyes. We cope extremely well with his suspension in terms of putting points on the board, and people say, well, maybe Moyes leaves it unchanged, but Ghana straight back in. Last season, I think he was our best outfield player. There was a question of, when does Father Time finally have his effect
Certainly
on Ghana?
Midfielder. Yeah, he's also not playing a
midfield
position where he can sit back either. Well, you can make a case, though, either way. He really was. Top.
Ghana has been very solid, been a good midfielder, but we haven't been talking about his performances nearly every single week like we have in recent seasons. So I looked at some of the key numbers in terms of his defensive output. And year over year, here's just some percentage drops for you, Ryan. His players tackled per 90 is down 47%. Dribblers tackled per 90 down 62%. Tackle percentage is down like 8%. So just winning fewer of his tackles, and then overall tackles and interceptions per 90 down 40%. I think a little bit different kind of a role in midfield this season, but it's kind of hard to argue against that drop in just activity and relentlessness. However, he did have a very good game against Sunderland pretty recently, and today 10 for 13 in ground duels. Watching the game, there's a couple moments maybe where he's caught out, but overall a bit of a bounce back game for Idrissa Gueye. Ryan, your thoughts?
He certainly seemed like he was back to his active self, and I think there's something to be said for that. I think the problem with this team is you really need a defensive mid to sit back there and be a little more disciplined. It almost seems like Moyes is trying to make that be James Garner at times and sitting back and getting on the ball. But, okay, fine. If he's going to have the freedom to go after and win the ball, which I think he should, that's a better position for him. He's got to do that. I think we saw that today. It's actually amazing how many times he had his foot on guys and trying to win the ball in the middle of the pitch, but it felt very stretched out. So on one hand, it's encouraging that he was back at it. On the other hand, it's discouraging that the match kind of turned into what it was. Now, maybe that was a little bit to do with game state, though, James. But you look at this Chelsea side kind of getting into the lineups a little bit, and they've got some talent, but I do feel like there was opportunity today, even if we never seem to win at this place.
Look, this is a good Chelsea team. They went fourth with the win today. We know it's super tight in those areas, and we know that they have spent a ridiculous amount of money. But all that said, they've only won 3 of their 7 home games at Stamford Bridge this season. They have 2 losses and 2 draws as well. And they've had some key guys missing. Caicedo was missing today, serving a suspension. We know he is an unbelievable midfielder, gives them a lot of solidity in the middle of the park. And they've been missing Cole Palmer for most of the season since September. Today was his first league start since he got injured against Manchester United, I believe. So that's a big get back for them. Reece James has been kind of filling that defensive midfielder position, which is kind of interesting, and I thought he did a decent job today. Otherwise, you wonder about guys like Chalobah. I don't think he's the best. Fofana, great player. Gusto is really growing into his role at Chelsea. Garnacho on the other flank, he's still extremely young.
Really, still?
And they signed João Pedro, and João Pedro is an unbelievable footballer.
I think Pedro's a tricky one for Everton, too, because we tend to leave some space in between the lines, and he is so good at that. But they don't really have like a natural 9. Pedro's really a bit more of a kind of second striker, 10, a deeper lying striker. Delap is out with a shoulder injury. He's kind of their main 9, even though he's been hurt in and out. Lavia, they missed him too. I mean, Colwell's out, who's a really good left footer in the back. There's so many players here. Badiashile is a guy that, man, if he could ever get healthy, he's great, but he's been out. Tosin's there. They have so many numbers. It's just kind of ridiculous, man. I mean, send 1 or 2 our way, please. Maybe a fullback. But no, in all seriousness, there's still a couple gaps in here too. I thought that back line was exploitable. I think you could get at them a little bit. That being said, if you look at our lineup, I think the critique was Ghana coming right back in. He should have come right back in. I don't understand how that's a logical argument. I think the only argument is, can you move some players around so that you can move Garner over to right back? I think that's a debate. One thing, though, I do want to address is I'm really tired of this whole idea that Moyes needs to play Dewsbury-Hall deeper. Taking a little step back, I think people are a little unfair here with respect to Moyes, because when we're talking about KDH needs to play deeper, I think what people mean is that he needs to drop deeper and get on the ball. I don't think when Moyes plays this 4-2-3-1, there's anything prohibiting him from doing that at all. So I don't think it has anything to do with whether we play 4-3-3 with the ball or without. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Now, that being said, he does typically like to defend in a 4-4-2 at times. Sometimes it's a 4-2-3-1. And Dewsbury-Hall getting pushed up is one of the two. If that's the point, okay, but I don't think that's a very good point, because although Dewsbury-Hall has done some decent work dropping deeper, that's not really what you want. I think, James, and you tell me if I'm crazy, I think people just want to see him get on the ball more, not be prohibited from dropping deeper, getting on the ball, and helping us control matches. But I just don't think when he's at the 10, he's prohibited from doing that. So I think this is a little bit, I think people are going a little bit overboard. I don't think the way he's set up initially today, I know he got hurt, would have prohibited him from doing that at all.
Yeah, I just think when he's in that 10, what Moyes is looking for in that role behind the striker is what we've seen a lot from Dewsbury-Hall is drifting over to the left in more advanced areas, trying to provide some of that combination play. And while Ghana was out, we saw Dewsbury-Hall playing in a truly kind of deeper midfield role where he was getting the ball in those positions. So I think you're exactly right in your assessment, Ryan, of we saw him be really successful getting the ball deeper, being able to drive the ball forward, and people want to see him able to do that more. It's just his position, as you say, is not what prevents him from doing that. It's more his role, I think, in the setup. So Moyes could very easily switch things around and have him come back to receive the ball a little in slightly different areas. It's just not really how Moyes has the team shape set up currently.
Yeah, I don't know. It's yes at times. I agree, and that's more of a Moyes decision. But I just don't think that someone's got to go up and take those spaces. I saw Ghana do it at times today too. I don't know. I guess the thought is Charlie does fine higher, but I think if you were to do that today, they would have bypassed us that much easier. And that's what I saw, at least initially, James, kind of getting into it a bit. If you looked at the setups, Chelsea were much better at dominating on the ball. They, in essence, conceded possession when our fullbacks had the ball, which was kind of funny. But there were times where Cucurella early got on the ball, just sat on it, invited pressure, and just cut right through our midfield, very obviously. And as long as David Moyes wants to play those two guys in those defensive mid roles, pushed up in man concepts, there's the threat. But it's not always their fault. And to me, James, João Pedro is a danger guy here. If you let him play between the lines, he can turn, he can face, he can pass, he can dribble. He's a very versatile player. And sometimes what that happens is it results in 1v1 situations out wide because he'll drop deep, move the ball either wide or play it back to someone who will then move it wide. And when you've got fullbacks inverting at times too and building into the midfield, you have to respond to that. And I think that sucks our midfield in. You could play it back out. And I thought there were several instances where Garnacho was 1v1 against Jake. Mykolenko was 1v1 against Neto. And they did okay in some instances, not okay in others, but it only takes a couple moments to score and create a chance, right? And that's what you want. You want those moments. And I think Chelsea tried at certain points, maybe using Reece James and Gusto very much to force the ball to the right side. And I think for the most part, and maybe it was because Garnacho is not maybe as much of a threat, Chelsea forced the ball right. And I think these percentages indicated as well, James.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, Chelsea attacked 43% down the right-hand side, and then Everton 46% down the right side. Now, Chelsea had the bulk of the possession, so I think that skews things a little bit. Everton tried to, I think, early on, set out with some intensity, some pressure, and then eventually backed off a little bit, and Chelsea were able to kind of dictate things a bit more, and in midfield, they had the numbers. Gusto was coming inside a little bit. But they actually didn't really move the ball through to attack down the middle. They were able to kind of find the guys wide in space. And the limitations of Tarkowski-Keane as a pair combined with the midfield just left them a lot of space that they were able to exploit.
And Chelsea weren't perfect. I mean, you look at Neto's numbers. I mean, he only got 3 touches in the box. He made the best of them. 2 for 4 in dribbles, which is a high percentage. 1 for 5 in crosses. So there's a threat there, but some of those came from corners. It was just those key moments. It's a volume game, man. All you need to do is beat one guy clean, and it makes all the difference in the world. And you really don't want someone as diminutive as him winning 6 of 11 ground duels. But then you look at Mykolenko's numbers, and they don't look that bad either. This was a game of big chances, and big chances are 0.1 xG and up. There were 8 in total. I think that's really what matters here. And there were some chances that didn't happen and didn't result in XG that were big too, and too many on either side. And I do think there were opportunities for Everton to get something out of this one. It just wasn't to be.
Really a slow start for both teams. Not a whole lot of chances created in the opening 10, and then in the 13th is when Dewsbury-Hall goes down, feels his hamstring, and Charlie, who had been pushed to the bench, maybe a little unlucky on his part because he's been pretty decent in his recent performances. He gets his chance to come on and play the bulk of the match, but you hope Dewsbury-Hall, after all of the media appearances and all the praise he's been getting in the last couple of weeks, and against, obviously, his former club in Chelsea, he was probably hoping to put together a really good performance, and he has to get yanked. It sucks.
And it stinks, too, yeah. I mean, he just didn't even really get much of a chance to get on the ball, and Everton didn't get much of a chance to really control the match. Chelsea looked like they had kind of the tactical upmanship early, and yeah, it just stinks. Naturally, it's a big miss, but it is nice to have a good option off the bench. Charlie Alcaraz is a very different player, but he will drive the ball forward. And I think in many ways he might be a slightly better fit the way this match was playing out. I just wish some other people maybe had the same impetus as him. There were a couple opportunities here relatively early for us, James, and who knows, one of these go through, the game changes very much.
In the 17th minute, things started to settle a little bit for Everton, and we had a few minutes of kind of sustained possession in the final third. Grealish did a really good job holding the ball on the left, retaining it, puts it to Tarkowski at the far post, who puts it back across the face of goal. Barry just can't quite get a touch on it. And then again, Everton just sort of maintaining that good final third position. And then Tark almost blows the whole thing with a horrible giveaway. He slips. Chelsea get it.
That was crazy.
The pass is just completely misplaced. And then it ends up with Ndiaye getting the ball, cutting in on his left.
That could have went either way. I mean, Tark did a very good job with that ball across. And what happens a couple minutes later? Bam. And these are the momentum swings today. Chelsea's up 1-0 2 minutes later.
It's an intelligent play, and it starts with a switch. Wesley Fofana goes to Gusto, who just drives the ball forward. And then Palmer times this run extremely well, and it's a great ball into him from Gusto. And Palmer one-touches it, beats Pickford near post. Palmer's just sort of sitting there. Ghana's right on him at the time, but the acceleration... I think Ghana's also trying to cut the lane versus play the man directly, and he can't quite close down the angle. And then I'm not really sure what Michael Keane's doing here because
nothing.
Tark is marking Pedro, but yeah, ultimately it's Palmer just sort of ripping through our defense and Gusto with the ball that cuts us wide open.
It's a tricky play to defend. You've got Gusto cutting inside in the right half space as the fullback fundamentally. You've got Neto who's been driving at Mykolenko so far during the match. So Mykolenko's got to see him, even though he's far from goal. But my issue here is Ghana shades over to Gusto at one point because Gusto receives the ball in tight. Now, it looks like Grealish was shading over there too, but the timing's really good on this run, and the pass is really good too. I think some people are picking on Ghana for this one. But yeah, my question is this: what is Michael Keane doing? He's the free guy. He should be over there covering for those guys. I don't understand. He makes absolutely no play on this whatsoever. If you're free, there's no one there for you to be marking. You've got to try and snuff out danger. At a minimum, go over there and let Mykolenko go out on Neto or something. He just stands there. He doesn't react. And, it's Cole Palmer, too, on his left. Great timing, good touch, and bang, it's over. I have a real problem with Keane's defending here. I think, what's Ghana supposed to do here? Yes, he could have cut inside and maybe gotten the passing lane and dealt with Gusto, but these things are hard to defend. It just is. And I think we were a little stretched out as well, too. And I don't know. It's a bummer. But this is the exact point of tactics and why you do things differently. When you see fullbacks cutting inside like that, wingers spreading wide, and you've got some design play stuff in the final third, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to spread you out and cut you open. And I don't know, just really disappointed in this one.
It just felt like Everton were maybe building towards something, and then to just get that the opposite way, their first big chance of the game, they score, and then takes the wind out of our sails a little bit. But it's the response to the goal from Everton. It kind of let heads drop a little bit, and it almost becomes two very quickly. It's Garnacho. It's Keane trying to make a tackle on João Pedro almost at midfield. No idea why he's out there in space. And João Pedro just pushes him off like he's not even there. And they get it to Garnacho in space. And Jake is, poor Jake here. It's kind of an awkward angle. He's trying to force him to go to his left, so toward the touchline. Garnacho does have a good angle here. He probably should do a little bit better getting this on target, but he fires it way over. But then the loss of composure from Everton. Charlie plays that horrible back pass to who I think was Tarkowski, but it just sort of sits at the top of the 18, and Tark ends up doing a good job closing it down on Garnacho, who puts the ball just inches wide. I thought that one was going to roll in the back of the net.
Yeah, it looked a little worse than probably it was initially. It's a bad play in itself, inflicted, of course. It didn't turn out to quite be the chance that maybe you thought it was when it happened. But yeah, what Keane did on João Pedro on that prior play, take him out if you're going to get him. So eventually Everton start to get back into the match. There's a transition moment here where Charlie gets one over to Jack and cross goes out for a corner, and maybe we're starting to build momentum. But James, it's really hard to ignore the 15 minutes after their goal.
5-0 in shots in those 15 minutes after their goal. 70% possession for Chelsea, 94% pass accuracy for 77% for Everton. And Everton had 2 tackles, but just not doing enough to disrupt them, not enough to push to get the equalizer. And that was frustrating to me because you need to respond, you need to find your spine, you need to push. And we just didn't really see that. Eventually we would as we get closer to the end of the half. Everton managed to create a couple chances.
It started with that corner. Like, sometimes set pieces can be very helpful in terms of kind of resetting the match a little bit, especially when it's in their half. And you see one here in the 37th where it finds Tark at the far post. It can't quite get it on target. And then there's this big moment in the 39th. Like, to me, this is the moment, and I think this one's probably worth kind of peeling back the onion a little bit on, because I'm not quite sure exactly how Barry doesn't even get on this one.
This is the one where Jake O'Brien finds himself in maybe more space than I've ever seen him. Even as he's driving forward into space, he takes kind of an awkward touch that slows his momentum and slows the play down just a little bit. And he gets it to Ndiaye, who, very unlike him, completely flubs the shot. And then it comes down the right again. Ghana is pushed super far forward. In a really good position, he makes a good run, and we find him. Super good run. Cross into Barry, and it goes right through his legs.
I mean, Gusto shoved him a bit and maybe put him off, but no offense, buddy, you're 6'5", you're a center forward in the Premier League. Maybe he slipped or it was unfortunate, but I mean, this is a backdoor layup to me, and Ghana does so well here. I mean, he puts this right across. He's got to hit it hard because you can't let Sanchez get a hold of it. It crosses inside the 6, and to not even get a piece on it, this is a massive moment. This wasn't one of technically the big chances because that's coming up now, but you started to feel the momentum. I felt like that was the big one, but it wasn't. We ended up having an even bigger chance in many ways later.
Yeah, and just before that, a couple minutes before, this is the Jack Grealish chance that we're getting to. This is just the limitations of Jake O'Brien. Ndiaye tees up Jake for a cross, kind of at the edge of the box, and he just botches it over. But then there's this play where Jack Grealish does a really good job taking the ball down, gets past the defender, running in, and he tries this chip on Sanchez, and Sanchez, I think, just does well to stand strong and prevent the
maybe a little
ball
lucky
from going in. Gets a little bit lucky, but this is, I think, Everton's biggest chance of the entire game. I mean, this is 0.33 XG. Jack it's a tricky-ish angle, but he's in on goal against the keeper. You really hope that he finishes that, and it changes the game entirely right before half, and it just slips through our fingers.
I think the problem is he does that little chip on some guys and it goes in because they're not really expecting it. Sanchez is a bit of a high-risk guy sometimes, but to me he's got to pass this ball. If he just pulls just for a second or a half second, Barry makes an interesting run to the near post and it opens up everything. Chalobah goes with Barry. You've got Ghana running middle, Ndiaye just a half second behind him on the back post. It's a layup. And again, big chance number 3, right? I mean, that's just too bad because we score here. It changes the entire game. And then again, what happens here? We build up some momentum and...
Yeah, it goes right back the other way. First, Gusto has a shot on target at the other end, and then right on the cusp of halftime, Chelsea make it 2-0. It's Gusto who caps off a remarkable first half, driving the ball forward, laying it off to Neto. Neto, with the step over, just rinses Mykolenko, leaves him in the dust, and the cutback finds Gusto, who had just continued his run. It's a one-touch. Pickford beaten near post for the second time in the half. It's a good finish. It's a good touch. I don't really blame Pickford for it, but it's just Chelsea in full acceleration, driving toward goal, and we're just kind of caught watching the good attacking play.
There's some bad luck on this one, too, for Pick. He just kind of gets wrong-footed. His paw almost touches it. I mean, a millisecond before he doesn't commit to one side. Look, maybe Ghana sees Gusto late and can't put on the afterburners and catch him. I mean, in Ghana's defense, he's running around like a maniac at this point. I don't understand what Michael Keane, again, is doing here. You see the player going to the line. Your line to go back is towards the goal? What are you doing, man? And you know he's going to do the cutback cross. There's no other threat. He's not going across the 6. You checked your shoulder. You saw that there wasn't anyone there. You have to break earlier or drop back towards the player, man. Look, Mykolenko gets burned, and that it's going to happen. But he's in 1v1 defending up a little bit higher on the pitch, and you're not really covering him to begin with, even though there was no threat other than Neto when he got beat. So I just... It's a combination. Tark almost makes a tackle here, too, so that's a little bit unlucky. And it's just a huge swing of momentum. Maybe a little better individualistic play could have made the difference here, but we get in half at like, man, I thought we had a little momentum here. Maybe we had a chance, a big chance, to go into half 1-1, and this game totally changes, and it's 2-0, James.
Yeah, I mean, 1-1 at half, or even 1-0 at half. This is a very different game, but 2-0, and Everton seemed to have a trend of this, of just very huge momentum-shifting moments right before you get into the locker room, and it cost them today. And what's so frustrating is it comes after this spell of it's 2-2 in shots. Everton actually have more of the ball from the the 38th minute to halftime. Better passing. It started to all kind of click. A little bit more aggressive, and then you punish in a moment of good play and kind of defensive lapses impacting things. So you get into the half 2-0. You're really wondering, it's a tough hill to climb for the Toffees. How would we come out to start the second half? How would Everton really look to push to get an early goal to really set the tone for the second half? And we did not see that.
No, and I mean, even the first half numbers, I mean, they were on Chelsea's side, but they weren't outrageous or anything. I think part of the challenge is, too, Maresca's now seen a first half. He's pretty good tactically. You figured he would dial something up, but more importantly, now he doesn't have to overextend his team at all. He could defend with numbers, and look, we've got two fullbacks that aren't really a threat. But, I mean, in your first 15 minutes, I mean, you conceded 72% possession to Chelsea, almost at a 90% pass rate. They were only dispossessed once. And Everton were chasing the match. I mean, it's just a missed opportunity to me. And they had a couple chances here, too. They had some big chances in this period.
Yeah, it's another one. 3 minutes after the half kicks off, Enzo Fernandez crosses it to Garnacho, who, again, another huge chance for him. And then in the 53rd, Mykolenko gets played into plenty of space in the final third. You're thinking, maybe. And he falls over. So just the attacking play not there from the fullbacks. In the 55th, Sanchez plays a long ball. This is just launched into the final third. Again, Garnacho leaves Jake in the dust for pace. It's a poor shot from him, but this is another big chance for Chelsea. So it's really only looking like the scoreline's moving in one direction.
Big chance 5 and 6, and 3 big chances for Garnacho. Thank you. I was interested to see what Andre Santos would do, too. He's a pretty controlling type defensive midfielder. It's definitely an odd switch. You knew Cole Palmer wouldn't go 90 anyway. But so here's a crazy stat for you. This one's interesting and shows you kind of Chelsea's approach, really. From the 11th to the 61st minute, according to who scored, Everton were not dispossessed at all for like 50-some minutes. We were just kind of giving them the ball. There's not a lot of impetus, too. There's not a lot of risk-taking because you've got guys isolated. You're not stacking them with numbers. And there's no real combination play where you really risk losing the ball as well. It's just kind of hand the ball back to us, put a little pressure on us, and we'd just eventually hand the ball back. And at this point, like, Maresca and Chelsea don't really have to come out. And so if you're not really going to put pressure on them through numbers, you're going to have some great individuals. And this just in, they know about Grealish and Ndiaye. You're not going to surprise anyone because of that. Finally, the mercy sub. Garnacho goes out in the 64th for Gittins. It's just it's riches after riches. I would love to have a guy, with his pace too. I mean, yeah, it's just that's a tough matchup for Jake as well. And then, look, we're just trying to claw back in here at this point. You're thinking, okay, maybe if we generate one chance here or we can find a goal and get back, maybe this game changes a little bit because it's not like they were just pummeling us or anything.
No, they weren't. But I think what you commented on just a moment ago, Ryan, is exactly right. Like, they just kind of let us beat ourselves. Like,
yeah, they didn't have control without being in control always.
Like, give you the rope to hang yourself with. They just sort of waited for us to make mistakes, which we were happy to do. In the 66th, Jake O'Brien actually has a cross. This is to Jack Grealish at the far post. This is a decent header.
But this was like the epitome of the right-back play. It's like you got 4 Everton players up there against 3 Chelsea guys all day to cross the ball. And it's not even that bad a cross, but it's like, man, it's not going to happen with a guy like that, and you feel bad for Jake. He's doing the best he can here. And then after this, I mean, Moyes has seen enough of Tierno Barry. He's pulled for Beto. I would probably ask the question, why did it take so long? Not Tierno Barry's best performance, James? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, very easy to forget he was even playing for large stretches. We know that goal scoring has not been super prolific, to say the least, but he's impacted games. He's found ways to impact games up until today. Today, I don't think he impacted much of anything. He certainly didn't get on the ball. He was isolated, only 11 touches. He had one touch in the box, one dispossession, but he just didn't do enough. Wasn't physical enough. 2 for 8 in duels. He only won 2 aerials. Not good enough in a game like that where you really need a foothold in the final third. He did not offer that for us.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you don't finish off the Ghana chance. Okay, right. Things can be forgiven, but if you're not winning your battles and you're not getting the ball, again, you could forgive the not getting the ball. It's not always
sure.
Fun. But 2 for 8 in duels, only won 2 aerials. Beto comes in, and in his short period of time was 3 for 3 in aerials, 1 for 3 in ground duels. So, that's way more than what Barry did for 68 minutes. And it's good to see Beto respond that way. I mean, Beto, the quality maybe wasn't there in the feet, but at least he was banging people and showing impetus. And maybe Barry was bummed like some of our guys maybe were about being down 2-0, but you got to respond better than that. And, maybe his way came out in the second half too, James, but
you just have to find ways to get yourself involved in the game. If the game's not coming to you, you got to go assert yourself on things. And
a little bit more.
Do that.
Certainly win your battles, too. Pretty disappointing. That being said, there were some chances here the rest of the way for Everton and for Chelsea, too.
Yeah, it really opened up in a kind of a bizarre way at the very end. You'd think Chelsea would kind of put it on cruise control and just coast to the end. Everton did push, and it did take Moyes until almost 70 minutes to start to change things, but he did, and it paid off. I think Everton created chances. I mean, Ndiaye has this pass to Charlie, who's running onto it, whips this cross or a shot with a ton of pace. We know he can hit a ball hard. And this one, I don't blame Jack Grealish for not getting this on target because it's got so much pace on it, but I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty big chance.
It did have a lot of pace, did have a lot of spin on it, but man, I mean, he's nowhere near the goal on this one. I mean, you could see him at least. All you need to do is put this one on net, and I think it's going to be a tough one to save. They already made 2 series of subs. This is a big wrinkle to you. Suddenly it goes 2-1, and they've got to change some things for sure. That being said, they were getting chances too, and that was big chance number 7. The last big chance of the match comes like a minute later, though.
Yeah, it's like end to end, right? Almost the next play, Jamie Gittins rinses our defense with a step over. It's a cross cleared by Mykolenko for a corner that was in a dangerous area. I think he was being very precautionary by clearing that out. And then it's a decent chance off the corner for Fernandez that gets blocked. He whiffs on it, but then he might have hit it off his own teammate. And then Reece James, just a couple minutes after that, has that free kick that forces a save from Pickford. That was well taken. And then you see Stavao come on for João Pedro, Maresca making... And then Moyes responds to that with getting Dibbling his pity minutes in the closing stages. I don't know if that's how we want to characterize it.
I mean, other than the one play where he dwelled on it too much, I actually thought he looked good. I mean,
I do too.
I just think he's a good player. I'd like to see him get a little bit more of a run.
Yeah, there's a couple big chances for Everton to almost get it within 1 in the closing stages. There was a good play by Dibbling to find Beto. This is the Ndiaye hit that rolls toward the post. You knew what was coming
here, though, by the way. When he starts doing the step overs and the guy's overplaying him to the middle, you know he's going to the outside and hitting it across the way. I can't believe this didn't go in, though.
I know, and it comes kind of square off the post directly as he hit it. You just want that little deflection to go in. It really would have opened things up. And then there's a huge chance Mykolenko bumbles his way to a 1 dribble, I think, somehow. He beats his man regardless, and then the ball across is out for a corner. Charlie maybe could have hit this one when he immediately gets it, but Chalobah makes a good block on the play.
Yeah, he settles it nicely. It's a great block. I mean, if he doesn't block it, it's probably going in, knowing Charlie's right foot. But, that was pretty much it. And so, you wonder what can happen. Goals change games. If one of these things go in, maybe the whole game changes. But I just think it's hard to not, for me, look at this, James, as just big moments and quality. And look, Chelsea had a lot more possession, and they could dictate the game. We mentioned that before, and we talked about the number of big chances. The XG was 2-1, though. I mean, I can't say that their chances weren't bigger, better, whatnot. But in those key moments, we just couldn't come up big. But a lot of the other stats are the same. I mean, touches in the box, I think we're even at 25. Everton had more corners, 7-4. It's just those and their 2 goals. It was really such a big momentum swing, and I think I think it's a tough tale to ask us to come back from 2-0 anyway with this particular team. Coming back from a goal, maybe we get a little bit more aggressive, but I just don't know if we quite have the personnel. But yeah, I mean, looking at the full-time stats, James, I mean, yeah, possession, accurate passes, I guess, on them. You know, XG is hard to ignore, but I don't, it wasn't like we went there and just got absolutely crushed.
No, we very easily could have gotten something from this game if the ball falls a different way. There's a slightly better execution, and that's with all the flaws and all the misplays and defensive lapses that we talked about. And I think in a lot of ways that, you know, represents progress for Everton. This is just a better team that is not going to be as easily outmatched on a regular basis. They got the better of us. I think they were the better team, but it's a lot closer than it has been recently. And just being competitive, again, is something to take solace in a little bit. It's not a match where I'm fuming, I'm really frustrated because there's no hope. It's like there are these very clear problems that I think should be apparent to everyone at this point, and if we fix those, there's a lot of good that can become even better as a result of it. Kind of tough to pick good performances today, but I did think James Garner, yet again, had a pretty decent game in midfield before he was subbed off for Timmy Rabunum. He only missed 2 passes on the day. He created a couple chances. Obviously, with Dewsbury-Hall going out early, he had a lot of the set-piece duty. 13 defensive contributions for him. He was 1 for 1 in dribbles. Only 1 for 9 in crosses, partially because of the set pieces that I just talked about, but 2 for 2 in long balls. Had 9 recoveries, 2 tackles, won 6 of his 9 duels. Not his best game by any stretch, but they're overall not a lot of super standout performances for the Toffees today.
No, I'm going with Tyler Dibbling like I did the other day when he came in to play 6 minutes.
He was good. I liked what I saw, like you said.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, 5 for 5 in passes, 6 minutes played. It's more than 6, but that's how these common things do. 9 touches, which is almost as much as Tierno Barry had. Made a tackle, 3 recoveries, won some ground duels. Now, in all seriousness, I mean, there were plenty of okay performances, nothing stand out. I mean, Garnacho, to his credit, was running around like a maniac. I mean, he deserves some credit from what he did, but he did play a role in the goals. So I can't say that's kind of for everyone. You know, it's like Jack, I thought at times came up big with moments and then just didn't finish. And Ndiaye had some good moments as well, too, but really wasn't the focal point you would want him to be. And I don't know. I just think there's something very difficult about when we have to play a little bit higher and come back from it with that Tarkowski-Keane combo. I just don't like them as a combo, and I just think it's almost inevitable that they give up goals. Lots of good listener comments, I think, today. Too many to pick from in many ways, but we got a couple good ones in here, I think.
Yeah, first one from Steve B. from our Discord, who said, if crashing back to reality after being optimistic was ever a definition for a football club, that match might be it. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a blow. It's a loss after a couple good wins on the bounce, but it is just the ebbs and flows of a season of a team in transition. And I think Grose's comment, Sean from our Discord, actually counters Steve's point kind of nicely in that he says, I don't think the scoreline tells the whole story. There were quite a few chances that could have put us up with a little luck or extra sharpness. He was worried that the team would just implode after Dewsbury-Hall came off, but when I think about how they played versus how last year's Everton team would have handled this, still cautiously optimistic we can finish top 8 if January has some shrewd dealings. I don't know about that last part, but I do agree that
Maybe.
It was concerning when Dewsbury-Hall came off. I thought the team responded okay to that. The response to the goal was very frustrating, the initial goal, and then the response after halftime was not up to what I would expect from an Everton team, but eventually they were able to get chances. This was not a completely hopeless pursuit of some sort of foothold in the game. We did have chances to get back into it.
It wasn't, but I also still, this Chelsea team, I mean, without Caicedo in the middle, I think is a different team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not so convinced of their back line. And Garnacho just missing chance after chance was definitely very helpful. We had chances too, but I figured we would against these guys. It's I don't know. I think top 8 is definitely aggressive. I know I keep joking about the drive for 9th. I can't help it. But also, I mean, there aren't many teams that can have bigger holes than we have in a couple areas. I mean, so, if you think about the impact that a player or two could have, man, I mean, you would think, and I don't know how aggressive we'll be wheeling and dealing, but, If there's opportunity, I mean, I don't know, January could be interesting, but before January, we've got a pretty big match coming up next.
We sure do. Next up, we, of course, have Arsenal at home, which will be an interesting one. Their first visit to the Hill Dickinson. We know they are obviously top of the table and by most metrics, the best team in the league. Tough, really, underlying performance, actual performance, everything says that they are, so far, have been the top team in the division without doubt. Then things get a little bit easier for Everton, and it couldn't be more well-timed with AFCON. We then have Burnley, who lost again today to Fulham. That was a tough one for them. We go back, we play Forest at the City Ground, and then Brentford following that. So a lot of fluctuation can take place, but you look at the table after today, we could have gone into fourth with a win today potentially. Instead, we sit in eighth in the mix. It's still very tight, still pretty congested, but hard to be too upset about Everton sitting in eighth as we barrel towards Christmas.
No, we're not in the worst spot. And again, it's going to hurt to lose Gueye and Ndiaye. I mean, it's hard to imagine what they're going to do on the right side.
Dwight McNeil? Can I interest you in a Dwight McNeil right winger?
You can't at all. I'm not remotely interested in a Dwight McNeil right winger. Hopefully it'll be Dibbling. I doubt it will, though. I think it'll probably be a little bit of Dwight. That being said, though, and we'll get into it as we get into the match previews of those matches, Burnley, Forest are hurt really hard for AFCON, and I think it's the right time to play these guys. There are a couple other ones that maybe hurt worse, but it puts us a little bit more on an even footing. I'm just a little concerned about the injuries just from a numbers standpoint, but maybe Merlin's not that far, and just have a body in there might be helpful. God, it's really hard, though. I mean, Garner's kind of the glue guy at this point. You can kind of have him in there and solidify things, but Charlie's obviously a good player. There's no fear of him playing in there, but to find the complementary guy if Dewsbury-Hall is out and Ghana's obviously gone in one of Merlin or Tim Irabunum, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, if you get Tim to replicate his last starting performance where he can play with some discipline, I mean, you never know. But to me, James, I mean, you gotta. I know we're not going to, but I think that back line is just. I think they're going to continue to struggle, and I hope Moyes, at least going into Arsenal, comes up with something. It's going to have to be a little bit more conservative. Comes up with something that'll at least give us a shot, just like we did today. And who knows? If you come up big in those moments, you can get results still.
Yeah, and I do think we'll probably, even at home against Arsenal, probably be a little bit more compact. To your point on the center backs, on the back line in general, I do think the days of this partnership between Tark and Keane have to be numbered at this point. We know that Jared Branthwaite's back on the grass. Fingers crossed he has no further setbacks and is able to return. And then that changes the calculus quite a bit. Regardless of who ends up being his partner, it will probably be Keane who drops for Tark.
Would you say that changes the story?
Could very well change the story. I just think Branthwaite, it's really... I remember early on, the first couple matches of the season, when we thought Branthwaite would be back, and then he had the setback and has been out. It's really hard to overstate how much Jared Branthwaite makes this team better when he's in there. He's like our best player, maybe our top two players, and he's been out this entire season. So the fact that we are where we are without him, I just don't think we've really talked enough about it.
That's true. That's true. And I think that's a positive thing. If you can say that we've been okay without him, I think that's a testament to the team. It's a testament to Moyes. It's a testament to how organized we are at times. But I just think we're playing with fire at this point, and something's got to give. Maybe that is what needs to give. My fear is we go in and get it right back in January and relegate Jacob Ryan to the bench.
Yeah.
I don't think Tarkowski's been good enough to be free from being subbed out. But it would be nice to maybe have a combination where you could play a back three and do some things differently. I mean, there's nothing wrong with coming out with a different formation, a different tactic a little bit. To throw a curveball, to win a one-off match, or to get a result here or there. And I don't know. I mean, that's a little bit what I'm concerned about. But yes, most likely by the end of the weekend, we'll probably be sitting at 10th. And that's okay, And I think there's going to be a lot of strange things happen with some of the African players gone. I think it's going to force teams to do some things differently, and we'll see how we adapt. I mean, the one thing I will give Moyes credit for is he's a strong presence and a strong man manager, and I think he'll be able to find some cohesiveness with this unit. As much as I would rather have younger, talented players, we do have some veterans that should be calming presence in this time. And the thing is, Ndiaye is a very difficult person to replace. but you're replacing one guy, kind of, in
Yeah.
a way. And you can kind of do that as a unit, but, man, I really would have liked to see a little more Tyler Dibbling before he's gone. Maybe that's always been the plan, and he's going to give him a shot, and that's fine, or let him and Dwight battle it out to see who's going to earn the time based on their performances in training. I'm sorry. I don't even believe that to myself, but I'm just saying it, We're talking about practice. I don't know. I'll say this, though. I know Sean's not here, James, so I wanted to transition into thoughts and prayers, but a little different wrinkle for me today. I just wanted to get a shout-out for all of you Americans there. That the NCAA College Soccer Men's Championship final is on Monday night. And it's two pretty good teams, NC State versus Washington. Both are playing really well, and I would encourage people to check it out. About the only thoughts and prayers that need to be sent is for people involved in the University of Michigan football program. But, dude, it sounds like there's some I don't even want to make any jokes about it. It sounds that bad.
Yeah,
so
it's really bad.
That's
bad.
Initially what I was going to say. My crack against Penn State last time was in jest. They're Penn State. They'll probably be fine. But this one, I don't. It just sounds off, man. I don't even want to touch that one. And I try not to be too heavy on these pods. Yeah. Score predictions. You got this right.
Yeah, this is my first one of the year. I got the score prediction
man.
right. I don't feel great about it.
No, you shouldn't.
I haven't got a single of our none of our wins correct, but I got this one nailed on. I just felt going into it. We broke the curse at Old Trafford. There's no way we were going to do it at Stamford Bridge. And David Moyes again winless in his career at Stamford Bridge, and we know how long the Everton streak has gone on. So maybe next year, folks, we'll have to see. But also, High Soccer Guy from our Discord got it right. So credit to you for your pessimism, same as me. Remember to get your score predictions in for every match on our Discord. You should join our Discord regardless because it's a great community, some great dialogue, talk all things Everton, and really a lot of other sports channels and whatnot. And we are keeping a running tally of the score predictions. We'll have to do probably a mid-year table check-in to see who's leading the charge.
Yeah, and I'll make a Christmas push for merch. Not
merch.
Really. We like our merch. It's really cool. I have to admit, those T-shirts are amazing. So we're not making a ton of money off this one, folks. But if you did want to get your merch for Christmas gifts, it's kind of a fun idea. I'm definitely going to try and pull the trigger on a couple here. So
good plug, Ryan. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks, everyone, for listening to this episode of The Blue Frontier. We appreciate you. Just one last reminder to like the video, subscribe, leave us a comment, leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice if you're listening on the audio version. Otherwise, we'll be with you following the Arsenal match. Until next time, up the Toffees.